Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Nitro workshop today on recent enhancements of Nitro Studio. Essentially, what we're going to do today is take a look back at a few things that we've released over the last 6 months or so in 2021, and a few things you might not have been fully aware of. A few things we have targeted in our previous workshops, but some other things we haven't really specifically highlighted. So I wanted to take some time today to highlight some of those new things and new features that we might have glossed over. So my name is James Restivo with Crocan Software. I've been doing these for over a year now, about once a month, once or twice a month, for workshops to go through different features of Nitro Studio, either things that we've released recently that that we're good to point out, or just other tricks and things like that. I'm not yet sharing my screen yet, and that's intentional. So I will share my screen shortly. So that is not being shown as of yet, but I will be sharing my screen shortly to go through some of these things. And just at a high level, I want to walk through what we're going to talk about today. We have the Nitro forms, enhancements, a few things. We did talk about some of the buttons and styling, but I'll talk about that in some detail again. We have list views, some new things you can do with list views that I'd like to highlight. Some things with the printing and custom actions that I'd like to highlight, and the new item ID column. I know we did I think we did a workshop on that one specifically, but I will revisit that in brief. And then we are also just going to revisit that SMS texting that we have. So not going to go into huge detail for some of these things just because we already have done the workshops on them, but we'll kind of highlight some of the things we haven't talked about as much recently. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. Let's make sure I get the right one here. Okay, let me just double check, make sure I'm sharing the correct screen. Should be Nitro Forms in this issue tracker. And it looks like that's correct. So, oh, and one other note, as a few more folks trickle in here before we get started. As usual, there is a questions box. Feel free to pop in a question at any point in time. If you want to take a look at something in more detail, or if you had a question about how to use a feature, we can dig into that as part of the workshop today. We also have Scott and Amanda from Crocan on the call to help answer any questions and to help chime in if they have anything to add to our presentation today. So again, thanks for joining. I see a few more folks have trickled in, so thank you for joining. Again, this is James Restivo from Crocan Software, so we're going to go ahead and start going through some of these things that we've released recently. So one of the things that came out with Nitro Forms that we we put everything out in our version log, of course, on our website. So you can always go check that out to see what's available in Nitro. But there are a few things I'd like to highlight that are neat new features that we didn't specifically highlight previously. One of these is the idea of impersonating a group or impersonating a user in the context of the preview function in Nitro Forms. So in this case, what we're doing is let's say we've set a permission on our form and we don't know how it's going to work because we're not logged in as that user or as a member of that group. So you usually have like a members group or a visitors group or even some other Active Directory groups that might be part of your SharePoint permissioning profile. And you want to hide or show certain fields or run certain things based on who those people are or what group they're a part of. So what I've done here, just highlight this on the form, we've created a column permission here to hide certain fields. And it's going to show you it's hiding these fields: date reported, priority, and assigned to, for whatever reason. We're just going to hide those three fields. And you see we're doing it based on users in the group Nitro workshop visitors. Now, of course, I'm an owner, so if I go and look at this form, I'm always going to see those fields. I don't know whether or not they're hidden for those visitors. But through this impersonation, we can, in the preview, see that happening. So this is happening in all the forms. I'm just going to use the new form because it doesn't really matter. And you can directly add that here. So if you wanted to go add your group here, they want to try to impersonate, you can do that. Hit OK. And guess what? Those fields are not there. You can see they're over here, assigned to, priority, date reported, but they're not there. If I remove this group, it'll just be as if I'm the kind of in the owners group, full control permission. Boom, they come back. So if I wanted to see how that looked, let's say I had a different permission profile for the members, I could do that, same kind of thing, or I could even see different groups, or active directory groups in addition to the SharePoint groups. So you can actually do it on the fly. You see there's this user groups function up here at the top. So you can do it on the fly if you don't pick the group to start with. So it's not a big deal, but again, you can see as a impersonation of those visitors, those fields disappear. That can be used for validations. That can be used for a number of other things in the tool where you're putting permissions around a particular group. So I thought that was a really cool feature to highlight and show today that you might not be aware of. So you can, pretend, you basically pretend you're someone else accessing the form, and without having to go and log in as another user or have a different screen within private browsers. That you can do that. That can get a little frustrating, of course, because you have to log in over here, log in over there. Who am I logged in as? That kind of thing. So we get this directly right on the form in the preview function, so you can directly see how your form is going to react to the person based on what group they're a part of. So that was the first thing I kind of wanted to highlight with the forms. The other thing I'm going to highlight here is kind of a revisit, rehash of what we've done before with the button styling. And if you joined our themes workshop a few months ago, we had a whole discussion around how you can modify the buttons on the form, make them look a little different. I think even after that workshop, and I think something I didn't necessarily even highlight in that one, is that you can do this on a button by button basis. And not necessarily for the save and cancel standard SharePoint buttons, but you can do it for any of the buttons you add through the actions tab over here. You can drag out your custom action on there, and you can connect it to a custom action, of course, and then you could do a button override style. So you can see right here in the theme, I could have a different button style altogether, but on this particular button, I can make my own style. So you could do that that way. Continue without apply. So yeah, so you could do, so you can have your kind of specific different types of buttons, and that actually gives you a nice way to highlight different things as far as whether, it could be a green button or a red button. Like maybe if you're doing an approve or deny function, you want to do the approve in a blue or green and deny in a red. So something like you add a custom action button wherever it is. You could even put it in the middle of your form. You do like an apply. I'm just going to do this dummy custom action here just to show you. Approve, apply, and then you can override that style, and you can do a background gradient of something like green or whatever to kind of highlight a green choice. We could do that for both the hover over and you can do different things for the hover over and the background. So if you want to do hover over differently, we could do maybe a darker green just to highlight a slight difference between it being hovered over and not. Just kind of show you what that looks like. We'll apply that. Now you see you have that approve button as green, and then we could do another button as deny. So just gonna put that there, apply, and so you can do another button override. I really like these button styles. I think they're a lot of fun to play with. I like the doing the UI elements. It's really quite fun to just play around and see how you can get it to look really cool, really different. So hopefully you enjoy that as well. Just kind of complete this out here. Okay, apply. Now you got that approve and deny button. You got that differentiation and what the different buttons on your form might be doing. So it can kind of direct and help highlight and direct your users to a particular action or give them some guidance as to what that button is doing. It might be important for visually impaired individuals. They might not see the button color you have, or they might not be able to, maybe the word contrast is too high or something like that. The button color might give them a better way to see what's going on. So some accessibility options there as well. So just again, you see you have 3 different button styles on the same form. Actually 4 if you include this. Maybe 5 if you include that one too. So you have a bunch of different button styles. Of course, you can always make them the same through the theme options. You could put some rounding around these too if you wanted to make them rounded. I always like to do that one because the blocky look, I'm not a big fan of that. I like the rounded look. So you can do that through the border radius. You need to have some number of pixels. I think it goes up to like 40 some odd pixels for the as round as you can get. But you can see there's a little bit of squaring off on the edge here. So yeah, so there's
So
different things you
James,
can do. Yeah. What's up?
can you change or remove that icon in front of approve?
Oh, of course. Yeah. So that's something you can do through the icon option here on the button settings. We can go and change that to something like thumbs up. I always like the thumbs up for the approve and thumbs down for deny. So you could do those. Yeah, so you can do those different icons to make them look a little different as well. And there's other things we could do. We can put them in a section, make them side by side, make it a little nicer looking on the form. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight that you can have the differentiation in the button styling and how it looks, what the look and feel is, and how it could be different for different types of actions, different types of buttons that you're working with. And then the other thing
Cool.
I think we added after the fact, after we talked about these button stylings, is the associated item button styling. I actually don't have the associated item on here. Let me add one real quick. We'll create I'll create associated item column on here real quickly. And get it from the site here. We'll just do let's just do documents or something like that. These. Let me do form here, default. Okay. So I just trying to get the minimum setting there, so I can get this on the form so you can see what it looks like. So you normally, when you have an associated item column, you have this blue button, or sorry, not blue, a green button right here that it just says new item on it. If you hit edit over here on your column, you can go to your styles tab and you can play around the new form button styles here. So we could go ahead and change that. We can change that text. I thought that option was on here. Actually.
It's on general.
Is it on general? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I forgot where it was. All right, yeah, on the general tab, you can, oh yeah, right here, add new document. So we can do like an add new document kind of thing. Hit OK. And then we can come back in and you'll see once this changes over here, or hit apply over here, it should change that text to add new document. Then we can come back in and I think in the style section, we can give it another gradient, let's do a gradient of some kind. Let's pick this blue one, a little darker. Now let's do the one so you can see what it looks like. Yeah, I can see now you got a different kind of styling around it. So that was something else we added after that workshop that I wasn't able to show you when we did it. You can actually, and now this one's getting a little crazy with 6 different button styles. That might be a little much, but it does give you a lot of flexibility in how you want to display your buttons and show what's on the form. And it actually looks kind of nice with that blue gradient. So yeah, so that's on the buttons, some different things, things we hadn't highlighted before, and those are some of the features we've added to the Forms tool. A lot of UI stuff with the themes. We talked about the themes earlier this year, with the ability to copy themes over. Now that's actually something new as well, is that you can take the theme that you have, you can copy it over, you can create a custom theme perhaps, you could copy it, and then you can actually export it and import it into to your form. So it gives you a way to create a theme and then have that apply across other forms on the same site. Other than that, there's a few, it's really functional tool already. So we've added, a couple little UI things here and there to make it a little better. And then we're obviously continuing to add new things as we go along to the Forms tool itself. So beyond the Forms tool, we've done a few other changes as well. All right, so we've gone into modifying list views. We've gone into modifying what we can do with item prints and custom actions. So there's a few things there as well that we can take a look at. So let me show you what we've done with the list views. So previously, we weren't able to show you the grouping options within a list view. So that's a new thing that we've added. I know you can do that with standard SharePoint, but we've now added that into our list view as well, where you can either take the grouping option that's there from the list by default or from the view by default, or you can add in your own. So I'll kind of show you what that looks like by going into the edit settings here for the list view. Go configure these settings over here. So, standard list view setup here for Croquet and NITRO list view. So what's different is that if we edit one of these views here, you now have these options for not just getting the view source, which is going to be a list or possibly a query. You could be actually pulling from a query of the items, which would just be like a conditional where you can just decide, show me all closed items and do a query on all the closed items by, maybe by month or by year or something like that. Group by, you can do the list view grouping, which is going to take a look at the list view you've added here, and if there's grouping on it, it's going to apply that grouping. But you could also do a specify where you can say, show me the grouping by issue description rather than the priority, or show by status rather than priority. Or you could even go to none. So let's say this has grouping on it and you want to go back to not having any grouping. That's fine, you can do that too. So you can go and override that grouping function if you want your particular list view to not show that grouping. So there's a few different ways that you can manage that. So that's kind of a neat, cool new feature on the list views is the grouping option. We also have on there the option to do a count or number of totals or an aggregate. Again, you can use the total section of the list view by default, or you could come in here and add your own list view total option, or you could override it and have none. So you can see on here on the form, on the list view, we've got the count of 5. So it's counting up the number of items in the list. And it is showing that at the bottom. We could override that and say, no, don't show me that. I don't want to see it. Go to hit none, hit OK, save settings, reload. And there, that count is gone. So yeah, there might be times you want to hide it or show it. It kind of depends on your scenario. But those are a couple of things we've added to the list view where you can group and then group dynamically and also add up totals dynamically within each of the list views that you configure for that list view web part. So each one of these has a different grouping. The all items view does not have grouping, so we went ahead and specified grouping. They could do up to 2 groupings in the setting, and then you can have any number of counts in the setting or sum or whatever. If you have like a bunch of currency fields that you want to sum up together, aggregate together, you can do that using this as well. So something like issue ID, let's count. Days old, I think, is a sum. Yeah, you could do a sum on that on that column or minimum or maximum or whatever calculation you need to do, and that's going to be there for the totals column. So you can save those settings, reload that. And now if we go to that all items view, which is the one I was just modifying, no count on this one because I removed it. And it's got the count back, and it's also got the grouping because we added that grouping in by status. So each one of the statuses has a count, and then you can have the total count at the bottom to see everything. So another cool thing you can do with list views, so you can make it a little more, break things up a little bit and group things together and show some totals on there. So that's what we did the list views. Another thing we added recently in the last a few months or so is the ability to use the item print function or use a custom action within the item print function. I'll kind of show you what that looks like. So we're going to stick in this list view for a minute. We have this item print option here at the top. And we're going to select our template. I put a big logo at the top, and then just a regular table. But you see I have a custom action up here now. So this one's just simply going to generate the document and attach it to the item. But that's great in and of itself, because the print tool doesn't give you a way to attach it to the current item. It only gives you a way to, print it, export it as an image or a PDF, or send it as an email. This can also send it as an email. You could do a send mail as part of the custom action, but it's going to essentially, create the item. Do you want it? And this is new as well. This preview function is also new, so you can preview what the printout is going to look like. Hit OK if you like it. Hit cancel if you don't, and then it runs that custom action. And now if I go back and look at this item here, you're going to see that it has an attachment because we added it. We just added it through the custom action. We've done this a couple times, so you can see it's been added there. So to show you what that custom action looks like. Well, first I'll just show you real quickly. The print manager doesn't really, you don't really do anything different here for that feature. You just create your print template as you would otherwise, and then save it. And then it's going to be the item print template, and then you go into your custom action. Is it over here? Yeah, here it is. And you can do, it doesn't have to be generate document. That just seems the most appropriate with a printing function, right? I mean, you can do it with other functions as well. But you can see where we're adding. We're adding it in the item print manager. That's a new function, new option in your custom action tool set, where you can go and make this action available in your item print manager. So you can go in and add a couple other actions here if you want. I just have the simple generate document in this one. And you can see with the generate document action, all I'm doing is selecting the print template that I just configured, creating some file name, and you can see we're doing you're getting the issue ID. We're doing a format on the date name to get the whatchamacallit, the actual date of that today. And then you have this preview option. So this is the new thing that we've added in here as well. And so this can work even within the custom action itself without the print manager. You have this preview option. And if we go back to our form over here, our issue tracker list, let me close out this one. And I'm actually going to get back into it because I'm not displaying custom actions up here. You see, you have that same custom action here, and it's going to do the same thing. We bring it up. It's going to do the generate document action. It's going to show you here's the file. Does that look okay? Yes or no. If it doesn't look okay, go ahead and hit cancel, and it's going to abort the process, and you don't print or save anything, and it doesn't get added to your item as an attachment at all. Or you can just go ahead and save it. I think in this case it will overwrite because that was what I had set up in the settings. And go ahead and do that. I think it should reload this. I'll reload it. Yeah, I think it overrode that the file. But there it is. So that's the new preview option in the generate document action. And then the other thing we added in here as well is to use that generated document in the send mail action. So we previously didn't have that. Send generated document. So we can go ahead and send that out. Let's do a no reply. And we're going to select a mail template. Now we don't have one, that's okay. I'm just going to leave that blank, but I importantly want to show you that there's this include generated documents option in here now, where it's going to look back at previous functions, previous generate document actions. Hey, you could have multiple generate document actions in this custom action. We don't know. Maybe there's 5 of them. Print out 5 different forms, and that's fine. So which one do you want to send on this mail? Well, you can go ahead and choose which one is generated based on the action name they have for that generate document action, and now you can include it. You can even include more than one because it lets you do not just one document but multiple documents in that same mail template. So it's just going to send it off as an attachment. If you create it as a PDF, it'll obviously send it as the PDF. If you create it as a Word, it'll send it out as a Word doc. So you can use that to send it out. So you can do that either through, of course, the generate document action can happen through. I was going to cancel that. Generate document action can use not just the item print template, but the Word or Excel template, and you can use that same preview option in both of those options as well. So any one of those three could work. Even if you generate it through a template in Word, you don't have to use item print template to use it in the print manager. So you have, if you have a Word template, you select that, you run your action in the custom action, and it will do the same thing that we just looked at. It just used the Word template instead of the print template.
It's kind of
So
interesting because you can actually print, it can mail it to 5 different people with different templates. If you just did 5 different send mail actions, right?
yeah, absolutely. If you have the same information, let's say there's a contact form, they want to print out the user's information on this particular form for this thing, and this particular form for this other thing. That can actually be really useful in an onboarding scenario where you have the new employee's information on your form, on on your Nitro form, and then using the generate document action, you could create different forms that you print out and send to different individuals or email to different individuals, and you can save them either attached to that employee's form, or you could save them as in document library. So it does give you a lot of flexibility in generating documents and managing what happens with those documents after the
Yeah.
fact.
Yeah, I really like the fact you can send it when you print it and send it rather than just print it and save it to a library or to attachment. Now you can actually, like a report, you can print out the report in the template you want and then send it right out, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, that is a huge value add for generating the document and then sending it out to individuals. So previously, yeah, as Scott alluded to, previously you'd have to do the generate document action, get it into a document library, then take some action on the document library. Doable through workflows, kind of clunky. This makes it a lot cleaner, a lot easier to use. So yeah, so that's what we added for item print and custom actions for integrating those two features, kind of make them a little more augmenting the functionality that was already there for those two things. The other two things we've a couple of really big releases that we did separate workshops on these, and so I'm not going to dig into them in great detail, but if you have any questions on these, certainly pipe in and let me know. But the big things we released this year were the item ID column, where you can go and create different IDs based on what values in the form, values that were entered into the ticket that got created or into the SharePoint item that got saved. So you can create those different IDs, and then you can use them for processing and other things. So you can generate these custom IDs, and you can do like string concatenations. There's a whole list of functions that you can use over here when building out the formatting or the format for that ID. You can use different things, like you can even put some conditions on it. So if you wanted to do certain IDs for issues versus requests, you could do that. You have like issue ID, and then you have like request ID based on the category equals something. So you could do I don't know, what field do I have on here? I don't have a category field on this one because this is the standard. It's kind of the standard issue tracker list from Microsoft Lists, which is okay. It's kind of nice for using for these purposes. Let's set that back to what it was. But yeah, essentially you can put some conditions around it. You can add some leading zeros to it, so you could create that. You can create that ID based on a pattern, based on values in the form, and based on placeholders and functions that you put in here. You could even do like adding, subtracting, and stuff like that. Person's name. You could use a parse lookup value to put a person's name in there based on. You could even do something like this. Parse the lookup value of the requester, or is issue, I think it was issue logged by, that's a field. You can put that in there, hit OK. So now the name is going to be there, the ID is going to be the person who put it in there, and you can do some other things like that. So kind of a neat new feature, but I did go through it in detail in previous workshops, so if you have any questions about it, certainly let me know. And the reason I kind of want to move through this one and the next one is because there's something really cool I want to show you guys that we're going to be releasing, hopefully this summer, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to check with the dev team, but hopefully we'll be releasing it this summer. But I just want to tease that a little bit, that we're going to be showing something really cool that we're going to be adding to Nitro very soon. So the last thing we added that was kind of another big release for us was this SMS texting capability, where you can go and create a text from the system. So if we go back to that custom action tool, there's the send SMS text option. Unfortunately for our on-premises folks, this is only available for Office 365. We don't have this yet for on-prem. I don't have a timeline on that just yet, but I will let you know if we intend to have it for on-prem. But for our online folks, this is there for SMS texting. You just need to have that Twilio account. It's going to tell you need to set that up. It's pretty straightforward. You go, Twilio is a well-known service that's been used for lots of types of texting like this. All you need to do is go to the Nitro configurations page. Once you set up your account, there's a Twilio SMS API connection, and you just need to put that in there. And then that's going to link your Nitro site to the Twilio account and read any of the phone numbers that you have from that account. So then you can go back here and reference any one of those phone numbers as the from address, or the from number, I guess you could say, and then send it to someone. So it could be to recipient. That could be a phone number that you directly write into the form itself, or it could be from the user's profile or their user's Active Directory record. So just another way to send communication out about something from the system. I know Scott just did a blog post on this. I think we just put it up yesterday or today, talking about SMS texting in more detail. I had a workshop on it as well. So there's some good information about it out there. Again, if you have any questions about it, certainly happy to discuss them on this call.
Well,
go ahead.
There's one thing you might mention. The Twilio account is free. The per message is very minimal per message cost to it. I think it's, I don't know what it is. I'd have to look it up, but it's well below 1 cent, some fraction of 1 cent per text.
Yeah, it's like I think it's like 3/4 cent or something per message.
Per message or something. And then also their incoming text too, we can handle.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. That's a good thing to point out. You'll see we renamed our email sync tool to email and text sync, and now we have this SMS text sync settings. Same idea. We're basically just listening to we got that configuration on there. We know what number to look at. If something comes into that phone number, we can then process that and send it into the system, similar to the email capture. And then we could run some workflows on that. So we're talking about action verbs that you can put in the text to then kick off a workflow or some process, like an approval. Like you send back approve an item number, and it's going to approve it, or send back deny, or send back continue or proceed, or whatever it might be. You can take some action on that using the body parsing. We can parse that the body that comes in. We can use you can use a format like this, or you do a regular expression to get that action verb, and then you can map that into a column and then use that to process some function or some action after that text comes into the system. So yeah, no, good point. Thanks for pointing that out. It's not just the outgoing capability. We also added that incoming capability as well. So a couple of cool,
Plus the filtering, so you don't get, you can filter out certain numbers that come in, so you don't get a bunch of junk, Just like
sure.
email. We have the same thing in email, where you can filter out certain domains or certain phone, Yeah.
That's right.
Yep. Cool. Good stuff.
Exactly.
You also can get multiple Twilio phone numbers if you want, and have them for different text purposes.
Right. So you can see here the connection settings for Twilio phone number. You have a drop down, so you could have more than one phone number in that Twilio account. That's right.
Yep. For different incoming messages or outgoing. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Good feature. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to go through it in more detail, but I think we did cover it, and we have covered it pretty well in previous sessions. But
yeah, people can check out the blog, or you did a workshop, I think, just a couple of weeks ago on it. So there's that video of that also available.
Exactly.
Okay, good. Good.
But the thing I really want to show you, I've been wanting to get to this for a while, and I'm really hoping we can have a workshop fully on this later on this year. But this is a big new release that's coming down for Crow Canyon. Is this custom actions, and we're going to be doing this for workflows too. But it's a custom action designer that is a full-fledged workflow interface for building out your different actions. So if you want to take a look at one of these, I'm going to, so I thought I built one. Let me see if I built one here. Yeah, I did it on one of these. I think it was on the tickets list, perhaps. Well, I'll take a look at this one. The important thing is get into the designer so you can see what it looks like here. This is what we're excited about. This is the thing we want to show you. It's going to be coming soon. But it's essentially a full-fledged workflow kind of BPMN designer for creating actions in your in your system, in your site. And the great thing about it is each one of these settings you're very familiar to you. It's basically going to be the same kind of setup where you have the update list item action, you have the send mail action. There's this new gateway that's in there that's pretty cool. But the great thing about it is you can come in here. It's a drag and drop interface, very much like the forms designer, where you can go and plop in different processes, different things right onto the form itself, plop it in where you want to, and configure it right in there. So it gets us right in line with what you see in Power Automate, maybe even in Intex. Is this whole like designer interface for BPMN, and it is really, really cool to play around with. I can't wait for you guys to get your hands on it and see it. But it is a really nice tool to build out. I can build out a new one just to show you what it looks like for building from scratch. So I can close this one out. And we're going to be working on the UI for this. It's a little beta version at the moment. But so if we go to like tickets, all right, tickets, there it is. So we got this BPMN designer where you have a bunch of different things that you can do with the workflows. So you got the start and the end. Of course, you have to have some kind of start to the custom action, some kind of end to the custom action. But then you have all these different actions, similar, basically the same ones we have in our tool today, just listed out here. And then we can just go and start building out our workflow. So let's say we want to add an item, or maybe even add a gateway. We could do flowchart under events and controls. We can create a gateway, and that's going to allow us to then extend out to a different process. So we can have almost like parallel processes going on here. That's got to go somewhere. Let me get another action over here. So like we could do a decision point essentially where we want to, based on some criteria or condition, we could do it like that. Maybe you can move it around easily so you can kind of like move things and make it more visually, what you want it to be. So let's see, let's go to this gateway, for instance, and let's see, gateway one, and oh yeah, so it's at label 1, at label 2, so it's going to, based on that, it's going to go to which direction. So we could say like issue creates this, request creates that, so you can have like different tasks created, that kind of thing, where you can have this this go through, and so a request is going to pop over here, so you can play around with it and see, move things to where they make more sense for you, so you can see it. But that's coming from in here, so you got issue request. We could do a condition around it, so you can say if it equals, whatever field, or let's do category actually. Say like category equals category 1, and we'll do this. Category 1. Not category 1. Let's do it like that. This is kind of show you what it looks like, and you can see there's the gateway is kind of a cool part of it, where you can say, okay, if the conditions are matched, which node am I going to? If the conditions are not matched, which node am I going to? That kind of thing. And then you can just keep building things out as you go along and save it as you go along. It'll highlight where things are not working right, and so say, hey, look, this isn't configured, this doesn't go anywhere. You need to like fully flesh out this process. It helps, really helps you figure out, okay, what's wrong with my process? Why is it not working? There's a really great debugger aspect to this. Let me just give this add one. Let's just add something here. And then we could do another add over here. So real quick. There you go. Okay, so then we got to create a. It's still giving me an error because I haven't created the connection down to the end here. But this is obviously a real simple one where we're going to be essentially, with one decision point, we're going to create this item over here. With a different decision point, we're going to create this item over here, end of workflow. And if you want to debug that, you can see it going through. Well, we got to create it first. Okay, test work, test custom action. Okay, hope that's enough. Is that enough to make it work? Okay, good. So now we can debug it, and just some random item. And then I can see, okay, where we are in the process. We'll do the next one, next step, continue. And you can see it's going to start highlighting things here, and I'll show you which node it goes to, which this case it's going to be, see, there you go. So it's going to send you down this node over here, so you know which one's processing. It's giving me the form, whatever, hit okay. Continue, you can see it's green, it's good to go. And then that's it. So it ends the process. So obviously with more complex processes, you can see how that'd be really helpful to follow down the flow of the diagram, where you're going, what's it doing, where's it failing. So it's a really, really cool tool. I just wanted to give you a quick sneak peek preview at it. And hopefully this will be coming down the line soon. It looks like there's a question if it will be available for on-prem. We're hoping, we'll check with the dev team. I'll see where we are with that to get it out for on-prem as well as for online.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't. So, but we'll confirm that for sure, because it would be nice to have both on premises and in Office 365 to have this custom action designer, then the workflow designer, and eventually we'll have the bot designer too going in the same model.
Yep. Yeah, you can see it's got some of the features you're familiar with, forms where you can do publishing and saving and reverting to previous versions and that kind of thing. So, but you see you have some of the same settings that you have with custom actions, but it's all very, very cool. It's coming down the line. There are tweaks, there's some UI stuff that we're tweaking, but not quite ready for prime time, not quite ready for release, but it is coming. It is very close. So
yeah, it's very cool. It's really, really interesting. To map out this whole custom action like that or workflow. It's really quite something. It'd be good.
Yeah, we'll have some. Obviously have a workshop around this whole thing once it becomes available. So we'll be able to put that up there and keep an eye out for that. I'm really hoping we can do it by the end of the summer, but if not, look for this in the early fall timeframe. So yeah, that's about all I wanted to cover today with this workshop. Happy to answer any of the questions you guys might have. Well, actually, real quick before we go, just want to show you we have some of the upcoming webinars and workshops. So we're talking about this one today. These are, I'm considering these placeholders at the moment in case we get this custom action designer going, but we're going to be talking about managing item level permissions with NITRO workflows in some detail. So that'll be on our next workshop. And then later in August, we're going to do a workshop on building out portals using the NITRO Studio web parts on a modern workspace page. Or actually, it could be modern or classic, it doesn't have to be just modern. And then beyond that, we have some workshops on building some essentially simple apps with NITRO. One of them being expense reimbursements. We just did one on the leave requests back on June, just last week. And then we have another one on expense reimbursements. Then we'll do another one on project and task management. Both of those are coming up in July and August. And then it looks like we're going to be doing another one on was this Microsoft Teams and NITRO. Oh, it's Teams and NITRO workshop or a webinar later in September. So that's what's coming up on our workshop and webinar schedule. And I appreciate everyone coming today. Scott, did you have any parting comments?
No, there's just a lot of new features. We keep enhancing NITRO Studio in many, many ways, and anything that people want or see, let us know. There's a lot of other new things we have coming on the dev calendar. We're going to have some more capabilities with the managed columns, for example. more JavaScript examples and coding for that. Just a lot of stuff going on, and any feedback or anything you require, or even problems or issues you run into, just let's keep the conversation going. And as James pointed out, I think in an email earlier, there's a forum as well as our chat and knowledge base. And we want to keep everyone informed and engaged as much as possible, so they can get what they need done at their organization to make this as truly useful as possible. There's a forum right there and everything. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, go ahead, sign up, get in there, get engaged. I'd love to have you folks contribute into that, and we're there monitoring it, of course, to answer any questions you have. That way, just another avenue for interacting with the Crow Canyon team. But yeah, okay. So with that, thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Appreciate your time today, and we'll see you on the next workshop. All right, take care.